What
pops into your mind when I tell you to think about Godzilla? I think that probably depends on what era you grew up in, on the Godzilla you grew up with. Did you grow up with those original movies where Godzilla first terrified audiences as a nuclear allegory? Before he became a hero to Japan throughout the Showa era, anyway. Or in the post Roland Emmerich Godzilla boom of the Millennium era, where the monster got the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. Are you the audience that grew up with Godzilla now, where we not only have the Monsterverse and the Reiwa era, but easy access to movies that fans had to hunt to find previously? It has never been an easier time to get into Godzilla, and I love that.
Success doesn't really interest me anymore. It's too easy.
But I want to talk about the era that I didn't grow up with, but the one that I learned to appreciate a little more than all the rest. This is the era where Godzilla got to break back out of his shell and shrug off his old continuity for the first time. This period in Godzilla's history was fundamental to reintroducing the King of the Monsters, reframing its tone for both the Japanese audience and eventually the Americas, as those movies eventually found their ways overseas. Not for the first time I sat down with these movies. This time, though, with a little more focused lens than ever before, because I wanted to understand this franchise that is beloved by so many, myself included, just a little bit more. So let's get out of the way as the King of the Monsters returns in the Heisei era. Now, no one can deny the glow-up Godzilla received in his 1984 revamp, but Godzilla didn't just go through a transformation physically. As Godzilla himself grew bulkier and larger over time, what exactly he represented changed as well. Gone was the general child-friendly nature of most of the Showa era. No more dancing or dropkicks. No, this Godzilla is darker, a titan of the elements tied to ecological terror as much as he is a nuclear allegory. If the 1954 Godzilla embodied nuclear fears and anxieties, Heisei's Godzilla pretty consistently stands as a warning from the Earth itself, a metaphor for a world on the brink of collapse.
The only way to stop it was to show it. To scare people straight.
Because what reasonable human being wouldn't be galvanized by the potential destruction of everything they've ever known or loved?
Over the 7 movies of this continuity, Godzilla gradually becomes less of a villain as much as he becomes this avatar of vengeance, summoned when humans recklessly tamper with the world. Either with genetic material, time travel, toxic waste, when these are exploited by humans, this is when Godzilla appears. This series also unfolded in real time as environmental disasters happened around it. The Chernobyl disaster happened in 1986, just 2 years after this era started.
It doesn't care about our governments, our ideologies, our religions.
Nuclear anxieties would have only grown, and with it, Godzilla became a little more related to ecological revenge. Hell, he became nature's rebuke to the Anthropocene epoch.
Godzilla's coming, but he looks hungry!
Maybe I can help?
What can you do?
Tempt his tummy. Tempt your tummy? Ooh, with the taste of nuts and honey? Honey Nut Cheerios combines golden honey with crunching nuts. Part of this complete breakfast. Try him!
He loves them. Look.
He's going home!
The bigger they are, the harder they fall for Honey Nut Cheerios.
And this is not the first time Godzilla has been an eco-warrior. Back during the Showa era in 1971's infamous and a little underrated Godzilla vs. Hedorah, he fought the physical embodiment of smog in Hedorah. A monster created by pollution instead of an animal, as suit actor Kenpachiro Satsuma would describe it. Godzilla became a superhero during this time, but these themes always got tangled up with camp and sometimes psychedelic fever dreams. The themes of ecology in Godzilla have been around since at least the early 70s overtly, but thanks to the absurdity of the late Showa era, it could never feel like the core of the character. When Godzilla was relaunched in the Heisei era, discarding all of the Showa era, sans the original movie, it was with the intent to scrub away a lot of that camp that Toho wanted to distance itself from. We made Godzilla scary again, turned him into a living nuclear reactor, stomping through Tokyo neither as a protector or a villain, but as a nigh unstoppable disaster that can only be led away temporarily. Just as 1954's Gojira embodied this fear of nuclear annihilation, this new Godzilla was this anxiety of a poisoned planet striking back.
近頃主人の帰りがなんだか早いんです。あ、ゴジラさん、番組録画して自分だけのカラオケテープ作ったりして。
日本全国津々浦々、今度は歌える G ビデオ。Hitachi.
And I don't think there is a movie where this theme is more prevalent than Godzilla vs. Biollante. Maybe Mothra, but we aren't there yet. Biollante has one of the most simple origins, scientists mucking around with Godzilla's cells and blending them with plants and a dead girl's DNA, giving us a thorny clone of our favorite nuclear lizard with a ton of tragedy just baked in. You may have forgotten, but the Cold War and the early 80s were instrumental to biotechnology as a scientific field. This, mixed with the anxieties around genetic manipulation and cloning and a pressure vessel of government tensions,
way back in the 1980s, secret government employees dug up famous guys and ladies and made them using genetic copies.
It's no wonder Biollante took these themes and ran with them. It almost feels like a Frankenstein movie with an eco spin.
In the name of God, now I know what it feels like to be God.
I am sure if this leaned into that Showa title a little more, it might have been more of a success at the time as well. Think about it, Godzilla vs. Frankenstein's monster from like the Showa era Frankenstein monster. Never mind. This creature made from grief, fusing the drive to master nature with nature's refusal to be a slave to any master. When Godzilla comes in to battle Biollante, we are not only given one of the most spectacular monster-on-monster fights in tokusatsu history, but we have two competing visions of life itself, and humanity's meddling in it. The franchise hero Godzilla, the monster accidentally born of radiation, becomes the sympathetic rallying point without becoming an outright hero when fighting his genetic sibling. I find the messages are pretty clear, comparing the dangers of biotech directly to tragedies like Chernobyl, which occurred while Biollante would have been in early production.
KGW and TV49. Thank you for celebrating a very big day in history with us. Yes, for 30 years, Godzilla has been knocking them dead. Well, so to speak. So we're sending a big happy birthday out to Godzilla, wherever he or it may be. From KPDX TV 49 and 62 KGW.
Even in the movies that decide not to lean into ecological themes, make sure we are reminded of humanity's footprint. In 1991's Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, we learn from time travelers that it is not Godzilla that thrusts the world into a dystopia, but humanity itself. We watch in 1994's Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla pollution from Earth and irradiated Godzilla cells give birth to a creatively named Godzilla from space. Even in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. Fuck that title, by the way. It feels like humanity is using a mech to stand against the hurricane that is Godzilla. This is how the King of the Monsters becomes this broad figure of environmental collapse. He reflects global concerns of pollution and the ozone eroding. These end up becoming some of the campiest films in the Heisei era, but where the Showa movies leaned into that camp, here we choose to keep the tone as serious as possible. Nature does weird shit, but it does not negotiate, nor does it do the she dance.
Before
Before Barney.
Handsome little devil, isn't he?
Before Jurassic Park.
He's indestructible.
Absolutely. There was Godzilla. The dinosaur with the great big roar. Godzilla. He taught today's dinos everything they know.
Godzilla.
Godzilla. In the movie that made nobody famous. Godzilla 1985. Today at 3 on the WB11.
Does it have something to do with Godzilla?
Let's rewind a little back to 1992. We touched on Godzilla vs. Mothra when bringing up fan favorite Biollante. This movie is all about the natural world, specifically living in balance with it. My all-time favorite Toho Kaiju Mothra is joined by Batra, a dark reflection of the queen of the monsters meant to punish humanity for their environmental destruction. Mothra is the guardian of Earth, Batra is its avenger, and Godzilla again is this man-made force, mutated further after his battle with Mecha King Hedorah, this unnatural disruption to the natural order.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. Enough, I get the point.
Ecosystems are not a playground in this future, especially not for humans. They are these complex systems that need respect to thrive, and if the Earth falls out of balance, something will come along and try to reset it. In this case, a giant bat monster. And if you like looking at the themes, history, and etymology of franchises like Godzilla, how they evolved over the decades and endless adaptations, it's the kind of history that fascinates me too. And exactly what I started this channel to kind of explore, help me understand the things I'm passionate about and why they mean so much to me. And hopefully you as well, as we explore things through my eyes.
City after city, Godzilla's destroying everything!
General, who's gonna save us from... Excuse me. Hello? Godzilla!
The Godzilla Force and Mecha-Godzilla.
The Godzilla Force is here.
While Godzilla Earth and Zero Point have shown us that it is possible to divorce Godzilla from his nuclear origins, it took decades to get there. The world was reminded, Japan was reminded, of the dangers of nuclear energy just 2 years after the release of Godzilla's return in 1984. The Chernobyl disaster was proof that nature would absolutely strike back. Through the radioactive fallout, a new ecosystem survived, just with water, soil, and forests that were contaminated to humans. The anxiety that comes with this, a meltdown of nuclear energy, is in the forefront of the final film in the Heisei era, 1995's Godzilla vs.
Destoroyah!
You know, the one where Godzilla has a literal meltdown, unable to control the nuclear energy at his core and threatening to do that destroying Japan thing, only on accident this time? Even at a point where, in this story, humanity is kind of at a balance with Godzilla, he is still a man-made danger prone to structural failure. We know this because of the era's characters, not only the military or the scientists we see driving the plots, but core characters that run throughout, like Miki Sagusa, feel this grief and acknowledge Godzilla is humanity's making.
心配しないで。あなたとお友達になりたいの。
On top of Godzilla melting down, which could be enough of a plot on its own, in Destoroyah, it is the oxygen destroyer, the man-made weapon that originally killed Godzilla, that returns to emphasize the point. The late 20th century looked like a terrifying place looking at headlines, from acid rain to deforestation, holes in the ozone layer, and climate change. These were concepts that were becoming more well-known, and this is when Godzilla chose to become a mirror, reflecting the worst errors in humanity and demanding accountability. Where the Showa films eventually have us tied to Godzilla as allies, in the Heisei era, humanity never really graduates from catalyst or casualty until the era ends with Destoroyah. This is the era where humans cannot control Godzilla, The best we can do is adapt and hope limits are respected, to accept there are forces we cannot master. Godzilla became both the punisher and the victim in this era, born of man's folly, suffering under its weight. By its end, Godzilla dies. He has a meltdown of nuclear proportions, body crumbling from its own heart. He leaves Godzilla Jr., slowly evolving since his introduction in vs. Mechagodzilla 2, to inherit his father's burden. Godzilla's cycle, nature's cycle, cannot be so easily broken. Godzilla is neither a villain or a hero. He is a reckoning. In the Heisei era, he is both the cause and the effect. Where we once feared the bomb, it is now nature itself, the scars that we leave on the earth that we have to contend with. Rewatch these movies today. I know Criterion just did a recent release of them. You see our own world reflected, ice caps melted, and warming oceans. Godzilla's roar is never just a spectacle, it is a warning.
Lakers are looking for a big man.
So, we tackled a lot of movies here, and honestly, not a lot of time. I would love to know if you think I'm reading too much into these movies. Do you really think Godzilla should just be about the monster fights? I hope not. Godzilla is not going anywhere. The big radioactive lizard is bigger than he has ever been, with the monster force in full swing in the slam dunk that was -1. He is sticking around on this channel as well for a little longer, as I take next video to do lightning round reviews and rank all of the movies in this era. So give it a week or two, keep kicking ass, try to leave less destruction in your wake than Godzilla, please.
Upcoming episodes on Doctor Who, The Second Doctor, Avatar: The Last Airbender, Seven Samurai, Dungeons and Dragons, Metroid,